Here comes the fun part. All right, let's pop some bubbles. All right, let's see here. Reading these off. How much money will you make when you graduate, and how much will you make when you become a PE? So, unfortunately, all engineers are not created equal. So the little fancy phones you have here in a pocket, those cost some money. So typically electrical and computer engineers get paid a little more. We'll say approximately 60, 65 on a good scale. Like I said, these are very rough averages. I'm trying to give you the ballpark. Mechanical's next because everyone drives a car and we have a little more private enterprise with that. And they're probably looking about just a hair less under, 50, 55, 60. So civil engineers wrap up the bottom, even though you use everything that we design all day, every day. We, because I'm a civil, probably means this is biased. But at the same time, we're down there 45, 50 on the lower spectrum. So there's that one, okay? But after a professional engineer, you can easily make six figures, if not more. And the best part about it, there's no capacity on that, all right? How much time will it take? Well, for to graduate from the associate is math dependent. You can't take Calc 3, you take Calc 2, so on and so forth. So from that standpoint, it's about 2 to 3 years from the individual, depending on their math placement. Then when you go to university, by the way, this is from today, how long it's going to take you. Looking about 4 to 6, because we got 3 in the beginning, 3 at the end, and we got 6. Now you have to have 4 years working in the field to become a professional engineer. Okay? So that's 2 or 3 for the first one, 4 or 6, and 10 years. That means, think about this, you're going to take you 10 years from today before you become a professional engineer and start to make that 6 figures. Keep that in mind because that's a good amount of time, a decade. All right, so how many hours do you think you'll work per week? Well, some people say like 40 and 45, and it's like, I'd love to come work for you, but frankly, you're going to be working 60 plus, okay? When you're on salary, they don't give you OT. So you better believe they're going to use that to your advantage, okay? So when you get that job, don't think you're going to be just walking into, Candyland, if you will, doing what you need to do there. So, how many hours do you work for your EGR 150 and for your bachelor's? Typically, the rule of thumb is 2 to 4 hours for every hour that you spend in class. So, if you have a 1 hour class, you'd spend 2 hours. 3 hours, 6 hours, okay? But at the university level, you got to make that 4. So, you have a 3-hour class. That's 12 hours you have to spend outside of class just to get an A in there, okay? When we start doing the math and take 6 or 7 classes, there's only so much time in a day, so you have to pick your battles, and that's why time management is important. But keep that in mind. All right, some of these are binary. Is it better to just work in a team or alone? A team, yay. Is easy a profession? Well, I'm going to say no, because if engineering was easy, everyone would be an engineer, and everyone's not an engineer. But when we fall up, can anyone be an engineer? I say yes. I think the biggest thing behind that is ambition. What you'll find with most engineers is not whether they're based on their knowledge, is were they ambitious and not more than someone else. When you're looking yourself in the morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, banging your head on the keyboard, and you're just, and you go to the mirror, you're going to be the one that has to pull yourself back to that keyboard. Okay, so ambition is on the student. What's the difference between engineers and the general public? I'm going to just go ahead and say the attention to detail. One of the reasons my wife is not always fond of me watching movies with her. Sweetheart, did you see that Batmobile? It's on the opposite side of the street. It's 5 o'clock traffic. No one's doing. Shh, you're ruining it. I love my wife. Purpose being is that as an engineer, I'm attentive to detail as possible. That's what engineers are, as precise as possible. The general public doesn't do that construct. Are engineers highly motivated? I'm pretty sure I just answered that one, so it's going to be a yes. Can ET make the same as engineers? So ET stands for Engineering Technology, okay, students, which is a 2-year degree in comparison to a 4, but yes, they can make the same amount of money. So if you're in this for the paper chase, you can actually get some money out of that on a short time. Just keep in mind that there's a capacity with that, and once again, I told you that there were some differences with the pay grade, but I guess a lot of times some people are in it for the paycheck, and you can get that paycheck in 2 years with the ET degree if this class and stuff isn't suitable for you. And the last question, 2 design limitations. I'm going to go ahead and just say, well, the first one is resources, right? You can't can't buy it, right? You can't make it if you don't have it. But I think the next thing is going to be innovation. Some people say science and gravity. Well, it's like before there was gravity, where was the innovation behind it? So innovation as well as resources. So when you wrap a big bow around all this lovely video, if you're not willing to go back and change all of your answers, then you don't need to be in this class. If you don't want to work 60 plus hours, if you don't want to spend this much time out of class, if you don't want to make this money, well, guess what? That's where you're going to be, and guess what's going to take you 10 years to get there. Once again, I'm trying to provide that story for you. Hopefully you'll use this as an advantage to you. Whoop.